Hello, everybody. So we're about to get started soon. Again, if you have not figured that out yet, my name is Elandria Williams, one of your co-mods. So there are only about 200 paper copies of the AIWs. So what we're going to ask people to do is to share, be kind and generous. They will also be available on the app really shortly. And we're going to put the text up on the screens so people can see it there too. We just wanted you to know, They're already on the app. Sorry, thank you, Susan Geckler. They already are on the app. And there's 200 paper copies, so if you need one, you can raise your hand and people will bring them to you, but please share. Thank you.
And while we're on announcements, but before we get officially started, I just want to invite you to take a view of our on-site ushers. They're the ones in that fantastic striped vest. I know that some of you are just can't wait till next year's General Assembly to wear the vest yourself. You can always do that by volunteering. I point them out for two reasons. One, they're doing a fantastic job, so we're going to give them a round of applause. And two, particularly when we get into our business of discussion and discernment, we have ushers at each of the microphones, and I'd ask that if you come down to the microphones, you check in with them just briefly so that they can help, as Denise asked us to use our best manners in ordering ourselves up in line. The ushers will help us do that. And know that we are putting some prioritization to our off-site delegates at the procedural mic in recognition that they're not physically here with us. So we want to make sure that their opinions and experiences don't get lost in our conversations.
And so the chaplains for our relationship team and safety team, if you can please make your way up front, that would be really lovely. I now call to order the third general session of the 58th General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Now we've got Neil Anderson to do a report from the chaplains.
Beloveds, it is hard for me to fathom that it was just 3 short days ago that I was on this platform to introduce the chaplain team for this 2019 General Assembly. I am Reverend Neil Anderson, soon to be Senior Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greater Lansing, and one of the co-leads of this year's chaplain team with Reverend Katie Romano Griffin, who served off-site from her home in Bethesda, Maryland. Thank you to the rest of the chaplain team, Reverend Kate Landis, Reverend Rebecca Savage, and Reverend Michelle Walsh, who faithfully and with grace and love served this gathered community when you were in need of pastoral and spiritual care. I don't know about you, but for me, General Assembly can be an intense time. It is an opportunity to meet new people, form new bonds of friendship, and renew old ones across boundaries of congregations, states, and nations. It is a time to see and be seen. It is a time for learning, growth, and maybe even transformation. One can experience the intensity of joy here, the intensity of exhaustion, the intensity of new learning, and yes, the intensity of pain and harm as well. With all this in our heart and mind, may we take a moment in silence together for all that was and is this General Assembly as we prepare to depart to faithfully live this faith that has brought us together and with which we love. Blessed be, and amen.
We're going to take a quick change in the program agenda for just a moment. We, as you hopefully remember, were not able to do the full reports of the UU Women's Federation and the UU Service Committee. And so we want to give a shout out. I'm going to invite Alandria to come join me and do the shout out because she does it better.
So we just want to say thank you. These people we've all known for a long time. So introduce yourselves to the lovely people.
My name is Claire Sexton. I'm a member of the Church of the Larger Fellowship and the UU Fellowship of Waco, and I'm the president of the Unitarian Universalist Women's Association.
And the Reverend Ned White from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation at Shelter Rock, and the incoming president of the UUSC board.
We couldn't do moving Unitarian Universalism and living our values out into the world without the partnership of these two organizations. So one more time, give it up for the UU Service Committee and the UU Women's Association. While we're waiting on the Right Relationship and Safety Team chairs and representatives to come on up to the front, we're going to do elections. So I bring to the front Board Secretary and Association Secretary Patrick McLaughlin.
We are a flexible people. We harness the power of we through the many avenues of service to our denomination, including elected positions on the Board of Trustees and various commissions and committees. The following individuals have been elected by this General Assembly to serve on the following board, commission, and committees. For the Board of Trustees, Reverend Suzanne Fast, the Reverend Sherman Logan, Leslie McFadden, Reverend Tom Shade. On the Commission on Appraisal, Victor Ashir, Reverend Madeline Campbell, Reverend Rodney Lemery. For the Commission on Social Witness, Reverend Jessica Starr Rockers, Dr. Pippin Whitaker. For the General Assembly Planning Committee, people for whom we are all so grateful, right? These people, Thomas Earthman, India Harris, and Reverend Maria McCabe. And the Nominating Committee, Dr. Randy Burnham, Reverend Amanda Weatherspoon, and Reverend Shalani Casella. Where are they? We just jumped ahead.
So we're letting people know who the candidates are. We will do the installation later on today. Thank you.
When we jump ahead, some of us jump far ahead. You elected these people because our bylaws, Section 910, affirm that when there is no contested election, people are elected without the work of ballots. Where are we?
All right, we're still waiting on the safety team and the right relationship team. I trust they are doing what we've asked them to do, as I'm sure you do as well. So we're going to just keep going ahead until they can join us. I want to take a minute and remind us of the rules of debate for actions of immediate witness. Before the actions of immediate witness, or as we affectionately call them, AIW debates begin, time will be provided for you to informally discuss the agenda item with others sitting around you, as we have been doing throughout the day. This informal discussion time will not necessarily count towards the time limit. For actions of immediate witness, we will have 7 minutes of debate time devoted to discussing them as a full assembly. As a reminder, only delegates can speak at the microphones in the front, and no one can speak for more than 2 minutes. There's a lot of rules that don't apply. Once the time has expired, or when no one is at the pro or con mic, we can take our vote. And time taken at the procedural mic does not necessarily count against discussion time. That all said, I want to read to you a statement that the board put together last year in response to our actions of immediate witness, recognizing that our process does not allow for all of the actions that were proposed to come before the Assembly. Whereas we had a very close vote on the actions of immediate witness that were admitted to General Assembly for placement on the 2018 agenda, and whereas all of these issues are important as we work to build the beloved community and better world that we envision, and whereas there are numerous groups, both faith-based and secular, working on these issues and other issues of importance, be they local, national, or global. Therefore, the GA affirms the relevance and immediacy of each of these issues and encourages UUs to read and consider taking action on any of the proposed AIWs, even if the UUA does not have the resources specific to those topics. We encourage you to take the work back home, to use the collective power of we. It's a little subset of the theme for the week.
We will now consider the actions of immediate witness that we are adding to the agenda today. You may adopt one, two, or all three. They are not in competition with one another. Adoption requires a 2/3 vote. A member of the Commission on Social Witness will make a separate motion for each issue. Then there will be an opportunity for debate and amendments on that issue before a vote. If you wish to speak for an adoption of a proposed action of immediate witness, go to the pro mic. If you wish to speak against, go to the concern mic. Up to 7 minutes, again, will be allowed for debate if needed on each proposed action of immediate witness admitted to the final agenda. A motion to call the previous question on the main motion shall not be in order if there are potential speakers at both pro and concern mics, whether on-site or off-site, and 7 minutes of discussion that's not expired, so you just got it twice. Now remember, you can always suspend the rules. I recognize the delegate at the amendment mic.
Reverend Meredith Garman, serving our congregation in White Plains, New York, and Commissioner with the Commission on Social Witness. The Commission on Social Witness moves to amend the agenda to add the 3 top action of immediate witness vote getters with the titles Immigration and Asylum, Build the Movement for a Green New Deal, and Support Our First Amendment Rights to Boycott.
Do we have a second? All righty. So I recognize the delegate at the procedural mic.
I just want to clarify. I think there needs to be first a vote to put it on the agenda.
That's what I'm about to do right now.
Okay, and then second a vote to.
Well, you had to first, second the motion. Okay. So we have to do each. So Susan, we have to do each one separately. We can't. We have to do each one separately. All righty. So, Meredith, where are you going? Stay back over there, Meredith. Come back, Meredith. All righty. So, we need you to put the first one on the agenda.
Okay. I move to, the Commission on Social Witness moves to place on the agenda the first action of immediate witness titled Immigration and Asylum.
Do we have a second? All righty, we're going to vote now to place this on the agenda. If you are ready to put this on the agenda, please raise your voting cards. Thank you. All those opposed? Any abstentions? We're going to wait on off-site. Fantastic. So can we please have the proposer come to the pro mic?
I thought there was supposed to be a 2-minute speech.
I can't hear. What? I recognize the delegate at the pro mic.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Dupay, and I represent the UU Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende in the state of Guanajuato, Mexico. Members of the San Miguel UU Fellowship are working tirelessly to support immigrants coming through Mexico from Central America seeking asylum in the United States. The migrants take unimaginable risks. They are fleeing violence and lawlessness in their home countries. They face hunger, bandits, kidnapping, severe physical harm, and sexual violence. Rather than a safe haven at the border, they face the tyranny of the current Trump administration. When migrants are prevented from crossing legally, many face death trying to cross the desert. At the same time, humanitarians, including UUers in border states who reach out to help, are jailed and prosecuted for their efforts. Also, families in the U.S. are torn apart as parents are arrested and deported. Our UU volunteers in Mexico work at a safe house that provides meals, medical care, shoes and clothing, a place to sleep and to shower, and legal advice to both migrants and deportees traveling in Mexico. This is our fellowship's passion. This resolution condemns the historic policies of the current administration. As Unitarians, we support migrants who risk everything to find safe haven and opportunity in the United States. We ask that you support this effort to denounce the Trump administration's cruel and immoral immigration policies. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have gotten word that the clock is not showing. Are you all keeping track? So they are keeping track of the time, and there it is. So we need to remove a couple minutes. We can't remove a couple minutes. Well, we got 5 minutes to go. Yes. I recognize the delegate at procedure mic.
Hi, Erin White from the Fourth Universalist Society, City of New York. Point of personal privilege, I guess. Could we please wait to debate these until the text of them is available? I know some folks are having trouble loading that on their apps, and I know that people are working on getting paper copies, but until people have a text to actually look at them, it just seems premature to be debating them.
So the text is available in the House right now. So if you need text, raise your hand, and people are looking at it on their app right now. So if you need a paper copy, raise your hand, please. Okay, it's right there. Okay, it's right there.
So we recognize there is a challenge with the app. We've got it on the screen. There are some paper copies floating around. We ask that if you have a paper copy, you share with many of your neighbors.
All right, Kathy Burek here, in case you don't remember me from this morning. If I didn't have the name tag, I might have to remind myself. Take a minute and talk about this resolution, what you like about it, any concerns you might have. 1 minute, please.
And there's a teller coming around with copies, so remember, if you need a copy, please raise your hand.
And we've just been informed that they should be downloadable on the app now. All right. Any discussion of the motion on the floor? Seeing no one at the pro or con mics, we're ready to vote. All in favor, this needs a 2/3 majority to pass. All in favor of the resolution regarding immigration and asylum, please raise your voting cards or vote online. In the hall, you can put your cards down. Those opposed? And in the hall, you can put those cards down. Anyone abstaining? Feel free to put those cards down. The motion passes.
Right, again, my name is Greg. I'm part of your moderation team. We went a little bit out of order the last time, so we're actually supposed to hear from the person who supports the action of immediate witness, the proposed action of immediate witness, and then have the commissioner make the appropriate motion. I recognize the delegate at the procedural mic.
My name is Anaí Quiroz Romero, and I'm a member of the Chalice Unitarian Fellowship of the Conejo Valley. And I just want to give thanks for the passing of the immigration and asylum. I'm a dreamer, and I am ready to stand in the middle of the fire and not shrink back. And I appreciate all of you.
It is right and it is good to give thanks, and these actions they bind only you here in these seats to go do something. So if you are committing to this thing and you said almost to a person that each one of you wanted to do this, you need to show up in the ways that you just committed to. Is that understood? I recognize the delegate at the pro mic to give the statement for support our First Amendment right to boycott.
It's Dick Burkhardt, Saltwater UU congregation in Des Moines, Washington. This is called the Build the Movement Toward a Green New Deal.
No.
Is that right?
No, we need support our First Amendment right to boycott. That's the
the other one.
Come on up. It's all good. It's all good. This is intro. It doesn't take time away from anything but your dinner. I recognize the delegate at the pro mic.
Thank you. My name is Curtis Bell. I'm a member of the First Unitarian Church in Portland, Oregon, and I'm president of the Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the Middle East. And I'm speaking in support of this AIW to support our right to boycott, our First Amendment right to boycott. Boycott and divestment are time-honored, nonviolent means of achieving justice. One need only recall the Montgomery bus boycott and the boycott campaign against apartheid South Africa. Your right to use boycott for justice is under serious threat, and that's what this AIW is about. The recent growth of the boycott and divestment movement in support of Palestinians has led to a massive backlash by people who are threatened by criticism of Israel. Laws have been introduced into the U.S. Congress and passed or introduced in 41 different states. The bills are aimed at intimidating, even criminalizing those who would use boycotts in support of Palestinians. One of the worst of the federal bills required offenders to pay fines as large as $1 million and severe prison terms as long as 20 years. All this anti-boycott legislation is surprising and disturbing, given that the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously in 1982 voted that boycotts are a form of speech protected by the First Amendment. And courts, district courts, federal courts have declared that 3 state laws are unconstitutional. The American Civil Liberties Union has come out strongly against all these anti-boycott acts, their opposition being based on constitutional grounds. We ask you to join the ACLU in support of the nonviolent, time-honored, and constitutional use of boycotts. Unitarian Universalists have long supported boycotts. Now is the time for us to stand up for that tradition. Thank you.
Will the commissioner make the appropriate motion? He's getting there. I recognize the commissioner at the amendment mic.
Reverend Meredith Garman of the Commission on Social Justice, Commission for Social Witness. The Commission on Social Witness moves to place the action of immediate witness titled to support our First Amendment right to boycott on the agenda.
The motion is not debatable. It requires a 2/3 majority of support. All those, we have a second, and all those in favor of adding this to the agenda, support our First Amendment right to boycott, raise your orange voting cards now. You've already done that. You knew what I was going to say. Okay, go ahead, put those down. Any opposed? Let's take those abstentions. We will be discussing that. We're going to start with 1 minute of discussion amongst yourselves.
She doesn't have anything to say, but it might be. I mean, maybe I'm just mostly hiding.
Ladies are all set? Oh, okay. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, are we ready to vote? All righty. So if you are ready to vote, please raise your voting cards. We're voting to put it on to go ahead and vote now. So we're trying to make the motion. Okay, please take your voting cards down if you are not ready to vote. Any abstentions? We're waiting for off-site. Fantastic, 91%. So if you are in favor of this motion around boycotting, the ability to boycott, please raise your orange cards. Thank you. If you are opposed, any abstentions? We're going to wait for the offsite. It overwhelmingly passes. I forgot it was number 3. Now we are ready for Build the Movement for a New Green Deal. I recognize the delegate at the pro mic.
Dick Burkhart from Saltwater UU Church in Des Moines, Washington. This is the Build the Movement toward a Green New Deal. Climate catastrophes are hitting ever harder and closer to home, while 2/3 of the U.S. population has fallen behind economically over the last 2 generations, despite a doubling of the economy. It's the old story of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. That's why our working class has lost trust in the leadership of our society. That includes many of us and the science that informs us. The Green New Deal is a home run on both counts. The carbon neutral infrastructure it will create is exactly what we need to clamp down on greenhouse gas emissions. At the same time, we'll be investing in working people with rewarding jobs and universal benefits, regaining their trust, building a more equal society. Demagoguery and scapegoating will lose their force. We'll leave a more hospitable world to our youth and future generations. Now, the Green New Deal is a vision, not a blueprint. We know we need a rapid transition to clean, renewable energy, leaving the fossil fuels in the ground. But national politics is not yet there to pass detailed programs. And that's the point. Spread the knowledge about the climate emergency, yes, but also to rebuild trust and political will by extending a helping hand to the many who have been left behind. Instead of spending our resources on the fancy lifestyles and projects of the rich, on a bloated military, and on pervasive consumerism, think about a lot fewer mansions, yachts, and extravagant parties and vacations, but a lot more solar panels, windmills, public transport, walkable communities, affordable and energy-efficient housing, healthcare, and education. Thank you very much.
Yes, now we have to move to the Okay. All right, thank you. All in favor of putting this AIW, I recognize the commissioner at the amendment mic.
Reverend Meredith Garman, White Plains, New York. The Commission on Social Witness moves to place on the agenda the action of immediate witness titled Build the Movement for a Green New Deal.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, all in favor of putting this on the agenda, raise your voting cards. Okay, you can lower them down. Any opposed? Thank you. You can put your cards down. Any abstentions? The item is added to the agenda. I recognize the delegate at the pro mic. What's that? Oh, you have a minute to discuss. Sorry. We're moving pretty quickly. I have to keep up.
We don't need to take all the pros, so then we all need to call.
Yep.
I mean, like.
Yep. All right, we have a con. Got it. Okay, I think we're ready to start debate. I recognize the delegate at the pro mic. The delegate at the pro mic.
Okay.
Okay.
Allie Tharp, Wildflower UU Church, and also program director of the UU Ministry for Earth. And thank you. I really just want to say that we have, you might have seen the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change report, that we have 12 years to transform our society starting November of last year. and we're just keep going up in emissions. So basically, we have 11 years to radically transform our society. We don't have 11 years to begin that work. We have 11 years to transform our society completely. And the Green New Deal is something that evokes the imagination of the American people. It's something that can provide a framework to have a just transition, a transition that honors workings, poor communities, people suffering across our country. And therefore, I think to work for a Green New Deal, particularly in solidarity with those most impacted communities, is something that Unitarian Universalists are called to do. We are called to create climate justice and to rise to the occasion of this massive catastrophe that we have with our ecological imbalance and climate change affecting our people. So I didn't want to spend my life addressing this issue, but I have no choice. And I hope you will support this move for a Green New Deal, because it's desperately needed in order to have a future for our children, for me, and all future generations of people and also non-human species alike.
Thank you. I recognize the delegate at the con mic.
My name is Patty Potter. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, that is in Fresno, California. And it's more of a concern than a con. Number 2, prepare our youth to confront the future through religious education and other programs grounded in science that inspire hope, courage, and practical collective action. My concern is prepare our youth. I think it's disrespectful to the youth to assume that they need to be prepared. Not everyone needs to be prepared, and that it's ageist. So I'm not saying don't vote for it. I just need to put it on the table that I think is disrespectful to our youth.
Thank you. I recognize the off-site delegate at the procedural mic.
Thank you. I'm speaking for Aunt Mi Young, West Shore UU Church in Cleveland, Ohio. I just want to express gratitude to having the minute to discuss, since it also allows us off-siters to have a minute to type in our comments in the speak box. Thank you, beloveds.
Thank you, Ami. Seeing no one at the con mic, are you ready to vote? Okay. All in favor of AIW number 3, building the movement for a Green New Deal, please raise your voting cards. Okay, please put your cards down. All opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you for your effort.
We didn't vote.
Talk to this.
We didn't vote to call a question.
While we're figuring out what's happening at the procedural mic, I want to let you know that the right relationship team and the safety team neither have reports for us. So I encourage us all to continue our best practices around right relationship and safety. Our own Beacon Press has had yet another record-breaking year, both in terms of sales and in terms of impact. You can see all their recent and some classic books in the UUA bookstore in the exhibit hall. And here's a video to tell you a bit more about this past year, narrated by the press's director, Helen Atwan.
As we celebrate our 165th anniversary, Beacon Press's impact on society continues to grow. Our books are part of the national dialogue on a wide range of topics, including LGBTQ rights, women's rights, and environmental justice. Beacon books continue to be at the forefront of the conversation around dismantling white supremacy. Howard Bryant, Carol Fulp, Deborah Plummer, and Crystal Fleming have all approached the topic from unique angles. Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility is a national bestseller, showing all of us why and how we need to address our racial biases. Beacon continues to work on centering the margins in all the work we do. We have always worked to lift up the voices of Black women in particular, and we continue to bring strong new voices into the conversation, like Andrea Ritchie, Feminista Jones, Leah Vernon, and Imani Perry. We're reinvigorating our Celebrating Black Women Writers series to highlight the role these women have had in changing America's social and literary landscape. Beacon is so proud to publish stories and perspectives that are hard to find elsewhere. We've had great success with works by and about Indigenous people. In the last year, our authors have been featured on all the major media outlets, in newspapers, on radio, and television. Our website has hosted 316,000 visits and 188,000 blog visits. Beacon has had 523,000 views of our videos on YouTube. We're expanding our audience to include young adult readers with our YA adaptations of revisionist history titles, as well as books by Martin Luther King Jr. and Viktor Frankl. Now more than ever, books that help us talk about social justice matter. We'll leave the final word with this year's Ware lecturer, our author, Richard Blanco, reading from his new book, How to Love a Country.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. We're the cure for hatred caused by despair. We're the good morning of a bus driver who remembers our name, the tattooed man who gives up his seat on the subway, where every door held open with a smile. When we look into each other's eyes, the way we behold the moon, we're the moon. We're the promise of one people, one breath, declaring to one another, I see you. I need you. I am you.
This is Helen Atwan. We want to thank you for all your support for Beacon. We could not do this important work without your encouragement.
Thank you, Beacon Press. So it's time for our responsive resolutions. These responsive resolutions are resolutions that are brought to us by delegates that are responding to a report made in general session. This year, we have 0 submitted resolutions that met the criteria, but I do want to lift up that we had 2 submissions that, while not meeting our qualifications for what counts as a responsive resolution, bring us some good insight. So we had a proposal around captioning, particularly around the captioning of lyrics when we're doing singing in the large group, and around mini assemblies and how we can better integrate and include our off-site delegates. So I offer up that we, the board, and the General Assembly Planning Committee will continue to work to get better, and we have no responsive resolutions. Given that, I welcome to the podium outgoing Board of Trustee member Latifah Woodhouse to offer us our closing words.
Thank you, Barb. Latifah Woodhouse, a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Shelter Rock, and a few more hours on the Board of Trustees. This is a prayer for peace and healing. Spirit of life all around us, you have gathered us together in a swirl of healing wind. take this newfound apprehension, an unwelcome shawl, heavy upon our shoulders, and make of it a comforter, soft and warm and trusting, in which we might rest our weary souls. Each day we awaken, may our first thought and vision be the peace in the eyes of our sisters, our brothers, our cousins, who also see the peace in mine. And from this gaze into each other, may the peace of our hearts heal one another. Thank you.
There being no further business to come before us, and in accordance with the schedule set forth in your program book, I declare that this general session of the General Assembly shall stand in recess until 7 p.m. tonight. Have a great dinner.